Hello and season's greetings from all at ABW Radio Live. It's Boxing Day and all is well with the world, I think. I'm your host, Kris, and I'm joined by my wonderful shipmates this evening, two of the regulars and two of the best. It's first up, Captain Shipbeard is here. Hello, John.
Hello, Kris. Merry Christmas all.
To you, sir, and I've affectionately named him for this purpose of the title. I've named him Admiral Tube Director. Hello, Karl.
Hello, pay your fares. I need a pay rise.
Yeah, I can't afford your wages, mate. Seriously, I really can't. You're all on double backwards time today, seeing as it's a festive season. You should be on double time, really, just given the fact that this is going to be really hard. This one, yeah, it's going to be hard. So, if anybody listening into this, we'll do our best, but don't expect miracles. Okay, let's get some initial thoughts then. Arsenal winning. Yes, I know we won a game. If you're on social media, you'd think we hadn't. Still, we'll come on to that. John, first initial thoughts, because you saw most of the game. Decent result in the end. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you indifferent? How are you?
Happy with the result. Obviously, nothing but 3 points would have done today, especially after the last two games. Performance was, not marvellous. I suppose you have to give a bit of credit to West Brom. They did defend quite well. But yeah, no, like first half was really, really bad. Second half was much better. I thought we actually came out and tried to affect the game a lot more, played a bit of a better tempo. All of the players looked much more up for it second half. We're still guilty of doing the things that we've all got annoyed about in the past, trying to play it all through the middle when the opposition are just sitting there with their whole team in front of their 18-yard box, not getting the width and not crossing enough, which is particularly frustrating when you've got Giroud up front today. So not the best performance ever, but the 3 points was the most important thing today. Just keep us, in touching distance at least with Chelsea. We had to match whatever they did today in terms of points anyway. And hopefully it just gives the team a little bit of a boost, because obviously they're on a downer after the last two, and it's just trying to get through this sticky patch of form with as many wins as we can.
Agreed. Nobody wants a sticky patch after Christmas, in more ways than one. Karl, what was your thoughts? I know, like me, you didn't see most of the game. So, again, is it just a question of going, phew, that'll do, and moving on?
When we face teams kind of like West Brom, your Swanseas, your Sunderland, you kind of know what to expect. You know they're going to sit back behind the ball, and a point will do for them. They're not kind of looking to win the game, to be honest. They're looking for a point. So you're looking, they're going to frustrate you. And like John said, the little bit I did see of the game, because I only saw about the last 20 minutes, we're trying to go through the middle, and all they're going to do is pat the middle. We know that the keeper's going to waste time, and from what I've sort of read and seen, he was wasting time from like the first minute, and obviously I think I saw he just got booked. That's one of my pet peeves, and I'll probably go on to it, but I don't understand. If you're time wasted from the 20th minute, why do goalkeepers only ever get booked in the second half around the 70th minute mark? It bugs me. If you're time wasting in the first half, book them in the first half, then they'll soon stop it, and that, for me, will get the game moving faster. But I guess that's another point anyway. But like I said, it just seems to me that we know what's going to happen with those sort of teams. They're going to come to frustrate us. And for me, it was about patience today. From the bit again I did see, I felt like we could break them down, because I didn't see much. It wasn't much creativity. And I thought if we just changed it up a bit, and I think Monreal came on later on, and I saw Bellerin getting out wide, which is really good, because when you got someone like Giroud on the pitch, for me, feed crosses into him, just keep getting the ball, just keep crossing the ball into, because he's a very good header of the ball. I think it's a very underrated sort of how he is with the ball. I think he's a brilliant header of the ball, and obviously that's how the goal came. But you've got to play towards your striker's strengths. Giroud feeds on crosses. If it's Alexis, he wants the ball probably running behind or something like that. But for me, patience was the key today, and I think obviously it took a long time, but 3 points is 3 points.
Yeah, a win is a win at the end of the day. John, a couple of changes to the lineup today. Kieran Gibbs was brought in. Alexis was moved wide. Giroud came in up top. Iwobi was back. Theo Walcott was hammered on coffee. What did you make of that? Because I wasn't really surprised by the change. I was quite glad to see Giroud in the lineup. More on him later on. But yeah, a couple of changes. Do you think that was an effort just to freshen it up, or was it in light of the fact we got a lot of games coming up in a short space of time?
I think a bit of both. It was a bit of you had Theo had a knock. Ox picks up an injury as well, so those two weren't available. Ramsey's obviously only just coming back off that injury he had, so maybe that's why he didn't start. I wasn't too surprised with the lineup. I thought Giroud coming in. Yeah, it makes sense. I prefer Alexis up top, but West Brom aren't going to give you a lot of space to run in behind, so he's not realistically going to be able to pull their defence about that much. And what Giroud gives you is a target, which we didn't use, sadly, until like the last 10 minutes of the game to hit. And he helps you defensively on the other end as well. For the sort of couple of times that West Brom get a set piece or a corner or something like that, he can really help out in defence. The one disappointment, and I suspect it's more down to the injuries we had, was starting Coquelin. Nothing against Coquelin, he's a great player and really like it. But in a home game against West Brom, where you know you're going to have all the ball, you don't really need him on the pitch. Having an extra midfielder who can create something in there probably would have done us a bit better today, given us another outlet. Obviously, if Santi was fit, then he would have played, and it gives you another dimension in the team, and it's not just trying to get Ozil to do absolutely everything. So yeah, that was my only gripe, but I suspect that it was basically either Coquelin or El Neni, which is a bit of a... El Neni's a slightly better passer, but he's not exactly a creative midfielder, is he? So it's kind of a same like-for-like switch, so it wouldn't have made a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a point we'll probably come on to a little bit later on, because I kind of understand what you mean. There was a very good tweet that I saw during the game, which, although I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I like the concept. A guy called RG6, and he tweeted, "Playing Coquelin at home to West Brom is like wearing 2 condoms, sacrificing quality for needless extra protection."
Yeah, I mean,
it was very good.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I mean, West Brom, it was surprising actually a couple of times when they did have the ball, because they obviously didn't have it a lot. But when they did get forward fairly easily, quite comfortably, without us really hassling them. And we let them cross the ball a few times. They didn't really cause us that many problems. It was more from the 2 corners. I think there was one, Jakob had a really good chance that he blasted over, that he probably should have scored from. Other than that, they really didn't create a lot. So it was interesting that they got, the couple of times they got the ball, they did have quite a lot of time and comfort on it. We didn't really press them a lot. That didn't really come until the second half. The only other possible change would have been Perez, maybe starting over Iwobi. I know Iwobi's got a lot of stick lately, and it's not an attack on him. I like him. I just think it's an age thing with him, some of the mistakes he's making. But Perez just hasn't been given a chance at all. And I would have liked to see what he could do from the start of the game, because he was really effective when he came on.
Yeah, we'll touch on that as well in a shorter period of time. Karl, just regards to the opposition as well with West Brom, like we touched on the time wasting issue, which we can cover on during this section as well. Do you give them credit? I mean, no team is going to rock up at the Emirates nowadays that is in that position and attack us and free flow us. But there could be the argument of people that would say, well, we know what's going to happen. We know what they're going to do. But yet we did a lot of the old, what I like to call the Pep Guardiola syndrome, which is get the ball and just pass it sideways 487,000 times and go absolutely fucking nowhere. So do you think that's a bit of a concern, given the fact we knew exactly what West Brom would do to us today?
Yeah, I do. For me, the team talk should have been try and get an early goal, because if you get an early goal, then they have to come out. Because at the end of the day, if they go 1-0 down 10 minutes into the game, they're not going to do this time wasting. Because from what I saw when we scored, the goalkeeper was rushing the ball out quickly, so which just made me laugh a little bit. Yeah, with West Brom and those sort of teams, the Swanseas, the Sunderlands, the Hulls, all they're going to do is come and sit back. They're not interested in trying to win the game, because it's not going to happen. They're not going to. they're going to try and come back, sit, get a point, and just time waste us, frustrate us to say park the bus, do Mourinho. But for me, the time wasting thing is a problem within the Premier League, or within England, I should say, because if you book a goalkeeper in the 20th minute, he's not gonna ever waste time again. I don't think to the best of my knowledge, please correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, I don't think a goalkeeper's ever been sent off for time wasting in England. I can't think of a time that it's ever happened. So for me, if there's time wasting from the 20th minute or even before that, so from the first minute, and you book a goalkeeper in the first half, then you give them a warning. Why? What's the point of booking them in the 70th minute when they can time wasting for 70 minutes? Like, it's not going to deter them from keep on doing it, and it kind of bugs me to do that. To say that. But with teams like that, they're going to sit back and they're going to frustrate us, and it's what they do. And you think it's happened to Arsenal time and time again, and sometimes it doesn't always work for us breaking teams down, because sometimes I think we're not that good at relentless pressure. You know, sometimes you get teams that are wave after wave after wave of attack, and like you said, Kris, we just pass it left, we pass it right, pass it left, we pass it right. Not once do we think, all right, let's hit a long ball into the box. It's something that we rarely do. Just think, all right, let's just hit it long and see what happens. Sometimes it's good to hit a ball over the top against teams like that, even though they sit back, just to push them back a little bit. But for me, it's, I don't know, the time wasting thing really does bug me, because it's something that I think the Premier League's got to clamp down on.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like the diving thing, isn't it? Or the shirt pulling thing of a while ago. If you send somebody off for it, it will probably only happen once or twice again, and it'll stop. I do agree with you. Like, I'm the first person to come on the show and say, when people moan about referees or decisions we should have got, or he did this, he did that. Well, yeah, I agree with that. It is tough to take, but I'm always one of those people that says, well, yeah, but that will balance itself out. Time wasting, however, it's not something that you can change the way you play to overcome. It is purely down to a referee to stop it. And yeah, I agree. I'd love to see a referee one day just get have a really bad day and just send off like 4 players for time wasting and just stop it there and then. But
do you think referees don't send players off because they think they'll get stick for for it? Because if a referee sent off a player for time wasting, obviously the opposition manager is going to be like, oh, well, why have you done that? It's going to go out in the media and blah, blah, blah. But if they stuck to the rules, I'm sure, isn't it 7 seconds the goalkeeper's allowed?
Yeah.
Something along them lines. I mean, we know that no goalkeeper sticks to 7 seconds, and I get that. There's got to be leeway. But when the goalkeeper's holding the ball for 30 odd seconds, come on now, like, it's just ridiculous. That sort of stuff should got to be stamped out.
I agree with you. Even at Sunday League level, it's 7 seconds. So if we're having to deal with that, even at the grassroots level, then the professionals should be getting dealt with it. And I agree. I think it's just something that should be dealt with. But alas, that is out of our hands. Unlike the goalkeeper today, of course. John, looking at the game overall, touch on both halves. First half, then, as I said, it was a tale of lots of passes, lots of possession, not really creating a lot with it. You ever sort of have 0-0 at half time? Did you have any doubts that we could go on and win it? Were you satisfied with the first half performance?
I wasn't satisfied. I thought the majority of our players were fairly poor. Like, they were tidy in possession and neat and everything, and like you expect, but none of them really looked like they were trying too much. Alexis was the hardest working as usual, which is no shocker. Looked to be the player trying to speed up the game the most. Iwobi was also trying really hard. Nothing came off for him today, though. Like, his shooting was quite poor. His passing, he gave the ball away a lot. And I felt a little bit sorry for him, because they weren't on his back, the crowd, but there was a couple of sort of groans every time the pass was misplaced and everything. But he was trying to affect the game. He was trying to speed up the pace of it a little bit, at least, which is a good thing. But yeah, going into half time, I wasn't of the we're going to lose kind of thing. I did think this might be a game where we might end up drawing, like we might concede a sloppy goal, and then, you know, we then spring into life in the second half and get one back. But I think it's just because we've just come off the back of 2 defeats, you just get that kind of negative attitude towards it and everything. And if the players aren't out there putting in the performance, the crowds, it wasn't a full stadium today. There was sections of it singing, and there was quiet periods and stuff. And I know it's Boxing Day, it's after Christmas, you're tired. If the football's not great, you're going to start falling asleep in the stadium and everything else. So it's just kind of that horrible meh kind of attitude and feeling around the whole thing. But then second half, they came out and they really upped the tempo, and everyone woke up and the crowd got going as well. And then as soon as second half, after sort of 5 minutes, I thought straight away, yeah, okay, we're actually in this. We're going to win the game now. It's just a case of having to wait to sort of tire West Brom out. And they did defend really, really well for a long period. And Ben Foster did as usual, having a great game, making some ridiculous saves as he always does, or any goalkeeper does when they come to the Emirates. So I think it was just a question of waiting until we got the opportunity.
Yeah, agreed. And Karl, with regards to what we created first half, I mean, was it a case of that we weren't really playing to the strengths? I mean, obviously we went with Giroud to try and change the system. We didn't really play to his strengths. There was a lot of, as I said before, sideways work. There was a lot of getting on the ball, but not really any clear-cut chances. I genuinely can't think of any. I think there's only one shot on target first half. So what did you make of that first half performance? And did it look to you like a side that had kind of just had Christmas and weren't quite at it?
Didn't see the first half. Sorry. But no.
I forget these things.
When you play Giroud in the team, for me, you've got to know that you've got to play to his strengths, like you said. So for me, you've got to pump crosses into the box because he's absolutely brilliant at heading. So you've got to pump crosses into the box. And I don't feel, well, what I've read up on the game quickly, we didn't really cross the ball into him. We didn't play to his strengths. For me, like I said, he's one of the best headers of the ball, and he it always seems like we want him to do what Alexis does, play the ball on the floor in the middle and running behind. And we both know, so we all know that Giroud hasn't got the pace to do that. He's not the slowest, but he's not the quickest either. So for him to play the ball onto the floor and him to sort of run on, do a couple step overs and shoot, that's not going to be Giroud. He's not going to do that. But you give him the ball into the box, when he's beating 2 defenders in the air, yeah, he's going to do that because that's what he's good at. So I feel sometimes we need to change up our tactics when we play different strikers. So when Giroud's on, but when we cross the ball in, when Alexis there, ball onto the floor, let him run in behind whatever Perez does, because hopefully Perez will start getting a couple games soon, and we'll see what he can do, whether he's good in the air, whether he's good on the ground. But I understand that the first half was quite frustrating and boring, and I can imagine if I was watching, I probably would feel the same as well, like just thinking, oh, come on, do something. Because I think the longer the game went on, for me, West Brom would go into it and they'll start thinking, all right, we're definitely not going to come out now. We're just going to sit back, set up all the pressure, because they didn't come to win the game. They kind of come to get a point or come to frustrate, because for them to outpass us, that's not going to happen. They had probably no interest in trying to get the ball forward. The only time they get the ball forward is probably to clear it. They're not going to play the ball on the floor, a couple passes, because it's a Tony Pulis team. It's what he does. He comes to frustrate.
Agreed. Yeah, we know what we're going to get with him, don't we? Should say, if you are watching live, appreciate it. It's Boxing Day, and we've still got a couple of 105 people watching at the moment. If you are watching and you enjoy what we do, give us a little thumbs up down there. That'd be very much appreciated. Makes Danny smile. So we always like to make Danny smile. And to the two of you that have given us a thumbs up, fuck you. Moving on. I'm joking, of course. You have the right to give us a thumbs up if you wish, and you have the right to give us a thumbs down if you wish. But if you do give us a thumbs down, we know where you live, and we will come round and drop pigeon poo on your garden. I'm going to move on. John, second half. It was a lot better as far as the start went. We were a bit more at it. We seemed a little bit more sprightly. The pace was noticeable. It looked like they'd had a little bit of a word at half time. But it still didn't come, did it? Which kind of area of the field do you blame up into the goal coming eventually, which we'll get to. Do you think it was a lack of creativity from the midfield? Mesut was quietish for long periods again today. Sanchez obviously has to revert his role to the left again, having played for the middle. Or do you think it was more about the fact that we didn't get the ball out of defence quick enough into the midfield area? What did you think was the reason we couldn't get that breakthrough early in that second half?
I thought we came out much better and we moved the ball faster. It's always going to be hard to move a team around that are sitting so deep anyway. They didn't really. I think their back four was either on the edge of their 18-yard box or inside it for the majority of the game. So for me, it was more about getting it wide as quick as possible. And in our team, because our wide players, if it's Alexis or Wobie, Oxlade-Chamberlain, they tend to cut inside. Then the onus is on the fullbacks to get wide. Gibbs did that really well today until he went off with an injury. He got to the byline a couple of times and either tried to fire it low across the ground or sort of dink it across to the back post. Bellerin not so much today, which I thought was a little bit strange. He didn't get forward or go wide as much. Sorry, he came inside a lot more. So I think that's where you have to do it. But also, I know we don't like giving them credit because it's Pulis, but West Brom did defend really, really well. The problem was everything was on the floor a lot. We didn't use Ollie's height at all in the box. We didn't really try to cross it to him. Iwobi was losing the ball a lot. He was coming way too central, not staying wide. And we really didn't look properly dangerous until Perez came on. And he really gave us something because as soon as he got the ball, it was either cross it first time or get to the byline, beat your man, and then cross it. And that's basically all he did. And that's what I want to see more of. The amount of times our players got the ball, took a touch, and then would knock it back and then take a cross. It just doesn't work. Sometimes you just got to get it as the ball comes. You just whip it in first time, and let the striker on their first run or their first movement go to the ball. And we didn't do that enough. There was one from Perez in particular in the second half where he fired it along the ground really quick, very straight away first time, and Giroud and Ozil, neither of them reacted quick enough. I don't know whether that was just them two just not being on the ball or they're just not used to having a player who would do that. They should have, but either one of them should have got their foot on it, and that should have been a goal much earlier in the game because that was a great chance. But just having that just ping every single time, first time, is brilliant. Oh, look, here you go. Dom's giving me shit already. Fucking Aussie bastard. Have you got used to the snow yet? And everyone take the piss out of Dom. He's never seen snow before. He's having a sit-down wee for a month. It's terrible.
Yeah, he's a one that one. Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's something.
Wicked in first time. Quite fucking. God, sorry.
Dirty beast. Looking, Karl. Just look before we get on to the goal. Just looking at that midfield area again. Obviously, it's like instead of doing Ozil watch, you just do midfield watch. Granit Xhaka today, 2 tackles, 2 clearances. 1 foul. Coquelin 5 tackles, 1 interception, 1 clearance, 2 fouls. Do you what's your kind of thoughts on that partnership? Because it seems to be the one that we're going forward with. I know John touched on it earlier on and said that you'd like to see more creativity in that area. I think we'll probably see Ramsey come into that position when he's fit. But obviously, today he was not, so couldn't start. I don't buy this idea that Coquelin and Xhaka are too similar, because John will know as well, they're 2 completely different players. But is there an argument that maybe we're a little bit slow in that department, both in speed of movement and in thought?
I didn't know much about Granit Xhaka before he came, but I don't know how creative he actually is. But with Coquelin, you're not going to get like a brilliant. Going back to it, do you remember Alex Song? He used to assist quite a lot. He used to play these brilliant balls out of nowhere. You used to think where was that in your locker? And I can't see Coquelin doing that. I know that recently he's been trying to play high up the pitch and they're trying to win the ball up higher. I don't think that's his position. I do think his position is protecting the back four. That's just my personal opinion. I don't want him, me personally, I don't want him past the semicircle of the halfway line in the opposition area. I want him just protecting the back four. So if anything comes down, he just breaks up the attack. That's me. And Granit Xhaka, his passing range, what I've seen of him so far, is absolutely brilliant. I think he's a brilliant passer of the ball. And obviously, I want to use him sort of higher up the pitch if we can. I do think eventually the partnership that will happen, because I don't think Santi will be back this season. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think we'll see him again in an Arsenal shirt. But personally, I think it will be Ramsey and Xhaka, just because Ramsey, I know a lot of people hate on Ramsey, but you know, when he wants to get the ball forward quickly and when he wants to move quickly, that's what he does. Like, and I don't mind Xhaka being taking over the Coquelin role, maybe a bit higher up the pitch, but because he's a tackler. We've seen that in his game already. He likes to tackle. He likes to, you know, excuse the pun, but get his feet dirty, get in there, get amongst it. So Ramsey will be the centre creative midfielder, obviously passing the ball on to Ozil or spraying it even wider or going forward. But eventually, personally, I think that it will be Xhaka and Ramsey as the midfield partnership.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see some rotation certainly against Palace on New Year's Day, so we'll watch that closely. Interestingly, today, I'll be honest, I'm not a big person on stats. I personally, I have an absolute ton of respect, for the people who put them together, including our very own Oju, does a wonderful job. But I'm just personally one of those people that thinks you can put a stat to make anything sound good if you want to. But I will say this, interesting from today, only Mesut had more passes than Coquelin and Xhaka throughout the whole team. Mesut played 122, but Granit Xhaka played 142 passes with a 95% accuracy, and Coquelin 96 passes with a 94.8% accuracy. So,
but where did them passes go? Like, if they're just going backwards and sideways, I'm not saying that it's not good, but
I think a lot were.
You know, if they're just going backwards and forwards, then it's not doing much.
No, I think a lot. I agree. I think both Xhaka and Coquelin, for most of the game I saw today, it was a lot of sideways and backwards. There was only a couple that were in advanced areas. So, as you say, stats can be read into in a variety of different ways. But, John, here's another stat for you. And this one does matter because it's a fact. Olivier Giroud scored more headed goals, 22, than any other Premier League player since his debut in 2012. And he came good for us today, didn't he, as well? Just when it mattered most. I said to Karl, I don't know if you remember this, I was talking before you joined us tonight, it reminded me of, I think it was Bent that scored a header, and I'm sure it was against Wolves. It was a few years ago. It was around about this time of the year, and I think it was 0-0, and he got up and got the late headed goal. I think he also did it against Cardiff, from memory, late on once upon a time. These sort of goals, you know, they are goals that you look back on, whether you've won something or not, and say, yeah, that was a crucial part of the season. And it was a bloody good header as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, he didn't even jump for it. It was a great ball from Mesut, who I don't think had a particularly good game, but that was a pinpoint cross, and he just used his strength against a very experienced defender in Macaulay. They both had hold of each other's shirt, and he looped it and cushioned it perfectly, and over Ben Foster was having a really good game. I felt a little bit sorry for Giroud because he was getting a lot of stick, and I didn't think he was doing too much wrong. The team is going to change the way it plays if he's in it. You can't necessarily blame him for that. He's not Usain Bolt. He isn't Sanchez. He's not going to run around up front. That's not what he does. If you don't give him service, he's not going to score. He did come deep a few times, which was frustrating when he shouldn't really be doing that. But he's trying to get involved and have an effect on the game. And sometimes when you're out of it for a little while, that's what players tend to do. You see Mesut do that. Sometimes he'll be as far back as Koscielny and Gabriel to go and get a touch in the ball and try and affect things. So it kind of gets rid of that. You could see the relief when he scored the goal as well, because he's had that kind of super sub thing about him, and I don't think he wants that tag. So he's really happy to have got the goal, obviously, and the fact it was a winner. And it means, I think the problem still is that we don't look comfortable as a team playing with him up front. We look much more comfortable with Alexis up front. I think Giroud's a good option, and I like him, and he's a very good squad player, and he's very helpful to have. the issue is the team's got to be able to adapt more when he's in the team, but also not just to him being in the team. We've got to be able to adapt more to these teams who are going to come to the Emirates and play like West Brom did. To be fair to West Brom, they're having a really good season for them. I think they're like 5 places up on where they were last year or something. It could be their best ever season or something. So they're obviously improving. But we've got to exploit the weaknesses more of those teams. And, you know, like you and Karl have already said, we knew exactly how they were going to play today, and we just played straight into their hands, trying to go through all the middle all the time. So if we can, you know, if Giroud can do the job when he's asked of, get the goals, hold up play, help us in defence, that kind of thing. If we can adapt and use the width more against these sort of teams, put the crosses in and get our delivery better as well, then it gives us a much better chance of us actually challenging for the title, rather than going, right, okay, teams who are open against us, yeah, we can absolutely rip them to shreds. The big sides, it's a bit of a coin flip, because if they turn up, then maybe we don't get the win, but they always tend to play open anyway, so it gives us a good chance, because that's the best way we play. And when we play against a really, really defensive side, sometimes we struggle to break them down, and it's sort of a last minute, 10-minute scramble to get the goal, and then we're okay. So it's good signs for him anyway. Alexis looked annoyed as usual because he didn't get on the score sheet. He always looks upset when he doesn't get a goal, which is quite funny. But yeah, I'm just pleased with the 3 points today, and just happy. Hopefully Giroud won't get as much stick, but every player does, so I don't expect that to go away.
No, he won't get any stick on this show. I think he's vital to anything we're going to do good this season, whether it be from the bench or in a striking capacity. You know, one thing that does make me laugh is when you see people on, you know, various platforms that say, "Oh, you know, Arsenal got no plan B. They only play one way." And it's like, really? Because Chelsea play 4 different ways, don't they? Oh no, wait, no, they don't. Man United, no, they're the same. Liverpool, yep, same. Man City, one way of playing. So, you know, I do understand that people get frustrated, etc. But when people say, "Oh, well, we just got no other option, and when we play Giroud, we can't do it." Well, that's funny, because we adapted to playing Sanchez up front when we couldn't do that when it first got tried. So sometimes it's just a question of picking the right sort of situations for the right teams who rock up, and sometimes you have to just persevere with it and be patient.
I think the frustration comes more from the manager not willing to change things sooner in a game when it's not working.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But hey, if he'd have changed it today and moved Alexis up front, we wouldn't have won the game.
I don't think that's what people were asking for. I think people wanted Perez at half time, things like that. Like, he could have done that at half time. That would have.
I don't get that. We'll have a quick debate on this. I don't get this. I do not get this Perez thing. I'll get Karl's thoughts on this, and then I'll come back to you, John, if I may. What do you make of this, Karl? Because I do not understand why people are absolutely desperate to get Perez into this side. This is a guy who has had one very, very good season as a centre-forward for Deportivo. It's clear that he's not going to be a centre-forward at Arsenal. Danny Welbeck is for me is going to be earmarked for that role when he's back fit. It's pretty clear to me that Perez is nowhere near ready to start games in the Premier League at the moment. He doesn't look physically there for me. He looks very timid. He doesn't strike me as a guy who can change a game when he starts it. I'm cool with him coming on and having substitute appearances, but I just this sort of like head thumping mentality of, oh well, Theo Walcott hasn't played well for 1.5 games. Oh, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has had 1 bad game, 2 bad games. Let's change it and throw the baby out with the bathwater. What is it? Do you think it's just because he's something different? Or is it just because people are, you know, they've got their agendas against, for example, Alex Iwobi? What do you think of the whole Perez thing? Because I just don't get it. I
think people want to see what he can do. That's what my personal opinion is. They want to see how good he actually is, you know, because he come with a bit of a reputation in Spain, you know, come to get some goals, and that's what you want to see. And the problem is that when players don't play well, just like Iwobi at the moment, like, I think that Iwobi should be dropped for a little while, just to take him out of the firing line, because I can't think of a game where he's played well in the last maybe 5 games. So I do think he should be taken out of the firing line just a little bit. But I'm sure isn't he going to the African Cup of Nations? So he won't be playing anyway, will he?
Are Nigeria there? I'm not sure. Did they make it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll look it up. Carry on.
Yeah. So if he's going or not, he won't be playing anyway. So, but I personally think people want to see what he can do. They want Perez to come on and be our new savior. You know, they want him to be the new, oh my gosh, we got Perez, you know, he can do this and he can do that. And because we don't know what he can do, I think that's the frustration. Once he plays a couple games in the Premier League and we see what he can do, then people will maybe stop clamoring for him. But at the moment, it's almost like the unknown, because he could be a world beater, but because we don't know that, in the back of our heads, we're thinking, right, we've got to get Perez on because, you know, we want him to play. We want him to see what he could do. He might come on and score loads of goals. And the hat-trick in the Champions League has probably made us even more sort of anxious to get him going. And then people will say, oh, we only scored hat-trick against, was it Basel? Yeah,
Basel and Nottingham Forest, or 2 against Forest.
Yeah, so I think he's proved that he can get goals. You know, it's not like he's had a bunch of games and he hasn't scored goals. He's actually proved to us that he can score. So obviously, if we sort of get him into the league team and he does the same, maybe he can replicate his form, which he's done. So for me, that's what I personally think it is. It's just, we've seen him what he could do in the Champions League. He scored 2 goals against Forest, so he can sort of rough and tumble it. So I personally would have wanted to play today. But I get what you're saying, Kris. I do get what you're saying, but I would have started him in line of Iwobi today, because I personally think Iwobi does need to, whether it's a rest or be dropped, however you want to word it, I think he needs to come out of the team just for a little while.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm not dissing the guy. You know, I'm not saying I don't like him or I don't want him to play ever. I'm just saying, you know, you had a perfectly good player in Joel Campbell. We let him go. People are saying Ox needs games and you know, and he needs to play. Walcott's there already. I'm just not sure that I buy sort of the hype of, oh, let's put him in and everything will change, which I think some people feel that way. It's just a bit of a strange one. Just quickly, Nigeria not in the African Nations Cup. Didn't qualify. I think the only player we're going to lose is Mohamed El Nene, who'll go with Egypt. Okay. So that's a good thing. So I expect El Nene to have quite a big period of game time during the Christmas period, actually, seeing as he'll be away. So it seems like he's probably going to get some game time.
I think that sorry, Kris, just quickly on Perez. I think Karl summed it up brilliantly, but like today was like a no risk. There was absolutely no risk in starting him today, or bringing him on at half time. And again, it's not digging out of Iwobi. He's just a young kid, and when you're that age, sometimes you need a rest and you need a few more games off than say sort of mid-20s professional would need, just to sort of get your fitness and get your head back on and get your concentration up. So playing Perez today would have been no risk at all against the team you know is going to sit deep, and then you can see what he can offer against that kind of side as well, because it's the kind of game that we do get a lot of during the season, especially at home. And if it doesn't work out, you can always bring Iwobi on in his place. So I don't think there was any risk in that today. It's too early to call, obviously, but Perez could be one of those. Wenger wasn't massively, like, he wasn't hugely keen on signing him, but you know, he accepted that they needed another player, so they got him. But maybe he's not his favourite, so he's gonna, you know, not accept him. I agree that probably Walcott and maybe the Ox might be ahead of him, depending on form. But when they're both missing through injury, there's absolutely no risk and no reason to not give him a go today, or at least bring him on earlier in the game. That's where the frustration comes, and people talk about tactics, is the not making a sub until, you know, the very, very last minute. Yeah, all right, Man City are always going to play the possession game and moving it about and everything all on the floor, but if Guardiola sees an issue in the team, he will change it. You know, he'll change a fullback that will make a difference to the game, like he did against us, or he'll move a fullback to centre back and move a centre mid out and put 2 number 10s up front and drop a striker and all that kind of thing. They're more willing in game to change things, and they have more of an effect on their players directly in a match than I think you see Arsenal ever does. You know, you see Conte doing the same thing as well, and that's the other thing as well. You can play the same way all season. No one's going to complain if you're top of the table and you're, you know, 9 points clear. You're not going to be whinging, then, are you?
True. Or Guardiola will put I don't know, like Mikel Arteta up front, or Claudio Bravo in holding midfield, or something revolutionary. Whoop-de-doo. I'm not a fan. Sorry, I'm just not a fan. I'll tell you what's funny, actually, about the... again, I'm getting on the old stats train once again, but it is funny how perception can sway an argument, isn't it? Just looking at Alexis and Iwobi today, they're very, very, very similar in output today. If you look at Alexis, 9 shots, 4 on target, 2 key passes, 2 dribbles over his game. Alex Iwobi, 4 shots, 1 on target, 2 key passes, 2 dribbles. When you compare, obviously, Alexis had a few more shots. Those stats kind of balance out quite closely.
Yeah, I think the difference is you look at Sanchez. If he loses the ball, he gets back, he wins it back, makes another pass. Iwobi's misplaced passes today led to West Brom going to an attack and things like that, and not having a dink. The kid, I really, really like him. I think he's going to be a great player. But Sanchez, like one of his shots that won't does hitting the post count as on target? Doesn't it anymore? Does it?
No, it's off target.
So like he had Alexis brings the ball down the box or out with 4 West Brom players around him, has amazing feet, takes it round all 4 of them, puts Ben Foster on his arse and hits the ball so well that it pings off the top of the upright. Otherwise, it's like an amazing goal. So you see that in a game, of course, you're going to give Sanchez more credit than it won't be. I do think like criticism can be too much, and it always is on certain players. Like Ramsey came on, I thought he was quite good today for the brief period he was on in the game, but then he had an absolute fucking shocker when he should have scored.
Yeah, what was he doing? Like that
for some reason, he stops, did a little pirouette on the ball.
Good grief!
Then
no idea.
And then
can I just say on that?
Oh, is he going to chip him? He's done all that, and he's going to be really cheeky and chip him in the far corner. And he went to cross it. I was like, what's happened? I thought that was like, oh, sweet, 2-0, game over. Yeah, really weird. Other than that, I thought he had a great game. But people will obviously all just focus on that one thing with that Ramsey mistake, and then that'll be it, and that's all they talk about.
I don't want to focus on that one thing, but for me, it's just my personal opinion. And that is the reason why I'll never trust Aaron Ramsey in the centre midfield, because he just his decision making at times. It's just like
if that's 0-0,
exactly,
really bad. Yeah.
Exactly. And I say I'm not digging the guy, because I know people say, "Oh, you hate Ramsey." I don't hate Ramsey. He's a very, very gifted, quality footballer. It's just sometimes like that. And you just think, if Giroud does that, he gets booed out the stadium, and obviously if Ramsey does it, he's sort of like, oh well, he's trying to be creative. I'm like, no, just put your foot through it. But it was very bizarre, very, very bizarre. You almost want to.
Maybe it's a confidence thing, you know what I mean? He hasn't
had
a lot of games. So he had 20 games under his belt. He probably scores that, but I genuinely think it's a confidence thing. Him not having enough games this season.
Yeah, decision making at crucial times. It's as you say, comes with confidence at times as well. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter because we won. That's the most important thing. Just before we take some listener questions, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things really, just on the sort of not the negative side, but more from the fan base again. I'm just going to have a little mini rant. I saw a lot of people tweeting during the game about, oh, people can't be bothered to come to the games, the seats are empty, oh, why are people leaving early, blah, blah, blah. This is just a personal rant, but shut the fuck up. Seriously, it's so good of hearing people say the same old shit. If you don't like it, don't go. Just don't go. Don't waste your money. I'm convinced that I think Dom has made this point on our podcast before, something to do with a personality trait, is that some people actively look for things that will annoy them. They actively seek out, I've done it myself at times, I'll freely admit, and they actively search for things and go to things and even pay to see things that are going to wind them up. And, I know the atmosphere is not great at the Emirates. It hasn't been probably since we moved to the bloody place. But if fans want to go and get their bloody £74 hot dog at halftime a bit early, go and do it. If you want to hold an iPad for the game, you look more of a prick than the people that are moaning about you. All right, if that's what you want to do, you pay your money. That's fine. It's not like the cinema where you have to go and sit and watch the film and you shouldn't have like a glaring screen in front of you or whatever. You've got the right to do what you want. And if that's what people want to do, I tell you what, let them get on with it. If they want to go off at halftime, let them crack on. You're there to enjoy your football team. You can get behind the team. It's nothing to do with what other people are doing. And if half these people on social media spend more time actually cheering the bloody side that they pay to go and watch, I think they'd be a lot happier. I really do. And if you really don't enjoy it that much, there are thousands of fans across the world, across Europe, wherever, that have never been to games and would kill to be at games. And then you've got people who are really, really disappointed about everything. Oh, I hate the experience. I hate the ground. I hate all these people. Then just don't go. Just don't go. It doesn't make you any less of a fan, but I had to have a little rant because I'm just so sick and tired of people saying the same things about the atmosphere and about other people's experience. If you pay your money within reason, as long as you're not abusive or God knows what else, you have the right to go and enjoy the experience as much as you like. And if that means you leave 10 minutes early, that's fine. That's your loss if you miss a late goal. Rant over. Just bugs me. It just really bugs me. I'm just so sick and tired of people moaning about insignificant things. I really am. Anyway, let's take a couple of questions and see what people have got to say out there. I've had one already, actually, so let's go to that one. A Guardian Dandy, which is the greatest name ever, isn't it? I still like that name. John, you can have this one. Is it time for Gibbs to get the nod for left-back position? He was brought in today ahead of Nacho. Do you think that was just a rotational thing, or do you think it's maybe with a view to the lack of protection maybe that Iwobi's been getting? Because I personally wouldn't be against playing Gibbs as a left midfielder ahead of Nacho. What do you reckon?
Yeah, actually, something Jeff brought up on the podcast during the week. He was talking about maybe bringing Gibbs in. I thought he was really good today, Gibbs. I really like him. I do think on form, out of the two of them, Nacho's the better player. But at the moment, Nacho, not all his own fault, but he's not playing to his best. I think that's partly been down to who's been playing in front of him. Gibbs, maybe, he had a bit of an easier time today. One, he had Sanchez in front of him. Two, West Brom weren't offering a lot. That was the side still they got down the most, more than any other. So that's still an issue that needs to be looked at. But on form at the moment, I would give it to him. But that knee that got knocked, that looked pretty sore. So I'm guessing Nacho comes straight back in. I think long term, though, left back is a position we need to look at getting someone as a replacement for Nacho, obviously, because he's getting on in years. I like Gibbs, but I just think to be at the very highest level, we need someone who's a little bit above what he's got to offer.
And having been at the club for that long, you'd like to think that by now he would be in the. Yeah, I agree.
I think he'd stay at the club. I think he really does like the club. He loves Arsenal, but I just think sometimes it comes to the point where you've got to go. If it was a case of like Nacho if Nacho got some sort of nasty injury and it was to the point because of his age we were never going to get him back, and we brought someone else in, then we're like, right, you still will be second choice, and he was happy with that, then I'd take it. But I'm not sure. Not first team player. I think we could get a better player there.
Yeah, agreed. Ricardo Rodriguez would be nice, but don't ask for much. Okay, let's have another question here. Craig Barlow, Karl, realistically, can we catch Chelsea and win the league? I still think Chelsea are favourites. I thought they were favourites pre-season, even when they were having a bad time. Do you still think they're catchable, though?
I agree with you, Kris. I said that at the beginning of the season, one of the first radio shows who I fancy for the league, and I said Chelsea, just because I think the no European football thing for me is a massive factor. It really is. Maximum recovery time, 1 game a week. They can do what they need to do. They can play their first team week in, week out without really worrying. All they've got is the FA Cup's obviously starting now, so. I honestly do think that Chelsea will win it. I still think there's more games for them to lose, because you think how quickly stuff turned around. We was literally neck and neck with Chelsea, and then within 2 games, we're suddenly 9 points behind them. So that just tells you how quickly the league can turn around. Chelsea won't go the rest of the season unbeaten. They will drop points. At the moment, they're playing very, very well. You can't fault them. Sometimes you have to give credit where credit's due. They are playing very, very well at the moment. But I still think they will drop some points. We may not come very, very close to them, but I think we can get quite near. But will we win the league? Personally, I don't think we will.
Fair, yeah, fair. I think that's a good synopsis. Jack Joseph, good friend of mine on Twitter. He's a lovely chap. I have two questions. He says, do you need to rotate, or do we need to rotate the next two games? At what time does Kris go and put his crime fighting with? What time does Kris goes on crime fighting with his super boots? 11 p.m. normally, Jack. 11 p.m. I dig out the spandex and leap from building to building. It's quite the sight. John, do you foresee rotation in the next two games? I think to me it seems obvious over the Christmas period. That's a short space of time. We play Palace in 4 days. I can't see anything other than rotation. Can you?
Yeah, rotation. I would have liked. Oh, another player I actually forgot to mention. I wouldn't have mind seeing Holding today. I'd like to see him at some point over the Christmas period. I think also what he might have given us today as well, when Mustafi's been in the side, he's had that really good passing from deep. Holding looks like he's got really good vision on him. And again, not thinking about Gabriel, I think he's done pretty good since he's come in, to a lot of people's surprise. But I think Holding gives you another player on the ball who can perhaps create something from deep that the opposition aren't expecting, a perfectly pinged sort of 40-yard ball into someone who's found a pocket of space. You don't always react to that quick enough. But yeah, I expect the midfield to be changed a bit, and then he'll probably get used quite a bit before he goes away. Maybe he comes in for Coquelin at some point. Ramsey will obviously start a few games. Hopefully, I think Theo, they said on Theo it's just like a slight strain. So like he should be okay in a few days. So maybe he comes back into the squad pretty quick as well.
Yeah, well said. Just amused myself there. I was reading a couple of tweets while you were talking there, and Tony Pulis has had a whinge. This is I find this so funny when managers of Pulis's stupidity say things like this. Gareth Macaulay said Giroud had grabbed his shirt before the ball came over. I'm not sure if he did or not. What a fucking idiot. Does he watch his own teams play? Has he ever seen his own team defend at corners and whatnot? Honestly, the man is such a parody of himself. Anyway,
they were grabbing each other's shirts. It was 6-1, half a dozen of the other team.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted it more, didn't he, Giroud? I thought he just wanted it that little bit more. And I just find things like that quite fun. Another question. What have we got here? John Bernstein, or Bernstein, whichever. Is Wenger forced to start Sanchez and Ozil, even though they may need a rest? Karl, you can have that one. I personally don't think any manager is ever forced to start a player. It just makes sense to play your best players, doesn't it?
Yeah. My one pet peeve is sometimes I think that he keeps Ozil on longer than he should, because Ozil's not above criticism, and there are times that Ozil has had bad games. The Man City game, I think he had a bad game. The Everton game, I think he had a bad game. But I think Arsene Wenger's loath to kind of take him off, just because, in the click of a finger, he can create something. But there are times that I think that he has played badly and he should come off. And, Ozil's not above criticism. There are times when he's going to need a rest soon. He is, because he's played every single game that I can think of. I can't think of him not having a game that he hasn't played in, to be honest. So I think, especially with the game coming thick and fast, and I know he didn't go away with Germany, he had 2 weeks off, but he still would have been training every day, probably every day of those 2 weeks. So though he hasn't had matches with Germany, he still would have been training. So the problem is, against teams like West Brom, is where you should kind of rest players like Ozil and Sanchez. You shouldn't have to play them against teams like that. Even against Palace, we know what's going to happen. Big Sam's first game, he's going to try and make an impression. He's going to probably come back and defend, because he needs to keep Palace up. So if we can get a point away at Arsenal, we know what he's going to do. But at the same time, playing our players like Sanchez and Ozil, you'd think, oh yeah, we got Palace at home. They're not playing very well at the moment. We should rest them. But because we know what Palace are going to do, we know what Big Sam's going to do. He's an idiot, but we just know he's going to sit back, defend, time waste. Trust me, the game will be a carbon copy of today. If anyone wants to moan about what happened today, next Sunday is going to
Don't
be
watch.
almost exactly the same, because we know what Sam Allardyce is going to do. It's his first game. If he can start off with a point away at Arsenal, they're going to think he's the best thing since sliced bread. We know what Palace are going to do. It's going to be an almost carbon copy. And I've no doubt that Sam Allardyce will watch today's game and think, right, that's what we need to do, but we just need to obviously frustrate Arsenal even more. So if anyone thinks that today won't be a carbon copy of Sunday, you're going to have it completely wrong.
Agreed. The one thing I would say is, having watched Palace try to defend today, which at times was hilarious, I look forward to seeing how Delaney is going to deal with Alexis Sanchez, because how that man is even a footballer is beyond me. He is utterly clueless. It's quite funny. I think Scott Dan isn't a bad centre-back, but Delaney is utter dog shit. My God. Anywho, that is Palace. Here's another one for John. JHABW. JH, I don't know who JH is, but hello, JH. Does Wenger get a pass today due to the result? Should we question his setup and substitutions again? Perez, tactics, etc. Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Josh. Pass for you, John. Again, without getting into the manager bashing situation again. Does he get a pass? Do we just say, great, we've a good point, Delaney is suspended. Thank you, Mehdi. Do we give him the benefit of the doubt today? Just say, look, a win's a win in a sort of tough circumstance, given the way the game went?
We got the result. That's the most important thing. I think he's still guilty of making substitutions too late and not telling the team or not berating the team for doing the obvious things like getting it wide and not trying to go through the middle when their entire team is sat there. So he gets half a pass.
That's fine. No, that's good enough for me. I'll take half. Yeah. Let's just sprinkle through a couple more of these. Marble Halls TV. Will Big Sam play the tactics? And should we play Giroud again? I think we've just covered that one. So good stuff. I agree with Karl. I think that's probably how they'll set up, and they'll look to use the second coming of Jesus to attack us. He be, of course, Wilf Zaha. Which I still chuckle. Alan Pardew. I cannot believe why England aren't playing Wilfried Zaha, because he's got one trick and he's just quick. That's it. He's got nothing. Honest to God, expect him to score a hat trick on there.
Sounds like every other winger England have got. So why isn't he playing? He's got a point.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Just stick Kris Waddle in. You might as well. I mean, there's no difference, is there? Fair point. Eric, newcomer. We like a newcomer. Do we keep Giroud up top for Palace or start Alexis there? I would like to get your thoughts actually quickly on that one, because it will be bone of contention. Okay, I'll give you a one-word answer, just a general poll. So Alexis or Giroud, John?
Alexis.
Karl?
Alexis.
I go Giroud. Oh, interesting. Okay, good question. That the only reason I'd stick with Giroud is just because I think Alexis is. I think it gives us a plan B against these other teams. We haven't played Giroud up top for a consistent period of time, and I think to get the best out of him, we need to give him this Christmas period of run up front and try and change our system slightly so that teams find us unpredictable again, particularly given the fact we've got Danny Welbeck back soon, hopefully, fingers crossed, which will give us another dimension in that forward area. So,
how about playing both? Would you not play both? Maybe rest Ozil, not drop him, and then Iwobi wide? Or Perez wide.
I'd be inclined to play Alexis in behind Giroud and see how that went. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The only thing is though, with what I would do instead of that is I would play one less holding midfielder, like John said earlier. Personal opinion, I would keep Coquelin in. I'd give Xhaka a rest, and I would just play one holding midfielder and then play in effect two support strikers, or two support forwards. So. Put Alexis in behind Giroud and with Mesut, so we'll just have two in behind Giroud and then play two and wide forwards. It's a little bit open, granted, but if you've got the right player work rate wise who will drop in and cover the midfield area, which we know Alexis will, I think maybe you could get away with that. So I guess what would that be, a 4-1-2-2-1, I guess. Is that right? I'm trying to add this up now. 4-1 in front of the back four. Instead of 4-2-3-1, I guess it would be a 4-1-2-3, wouldn't it? I suppose, in theory. But I don't think it's going to happen, of course. But it's play around with. And yeah, it's probably one for FIFA. If you guys play FIFA, then you can try that. Really don't like the new game, by the way. I've been playing over Christmas. It's very clunky. Not a fan. Anyway, that's a sidebar. Here's one for you, John. This is always a good one. Marble Halls TV again. How would you improve the stadium atmosphere? Just before you answer this, I would not, repeat, not be buying a drum. How would you improve it, John?
Oh dear.
Couldn't resist.
Yeah, very good.
It would be fruitile.
Oh Jesus. I don't know. What I would do, I'd make the team play better. That's what I do.
Get that man a job right now. Get him in the.
I don't know. This the atmosphere thing. I don't know. It's the one thing that I'd like to see at all grounds is the safe standing. Because the standing sections, they do give a bit more buzz and a bit more of an atmosphere, and the people who are in the standing sections are normally the loudest and are the ones who want to go in there and that kind of thing. And if you don't want to do that, then you can go in the seated section, and you can sit down and watch the game, because some people just want to go and watch the game. They don't want to be screaming their head off and lose their voice at the end of every match. That's fine. I ain't got a problem with that. Stefan made a good point as well. Reduce ticket prices would be another one as well, so you can make it a bit more affordable for people.
I think also as well.
Two things.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? I think the other thing as well is with regards to the atmosphere. Arsenal are not alone. We have to stress this point. I know that obviously. Yeah. We're the ones that highlight it because we're the ones that follow our club. But I've listened to the Theatre of Silence. That's been buzzing not recently. The famous Anfield Under the Lights, which sounds like a fucking library at times, even with their amazingly budget paid for broken down stand with lots of pillars all over the place. Budget hole. I personally think, and this, I don't know if you guys agree with me, the only grounds that I've been to and that I've experienced proper atmospheres at are the older grounds. It just seems to be the way.
Palace's ground is really good.
Palace's is great.
Yeah, Palace, Fulham used to be. I mean, I've been there for years. Fulham was good. West Ham, they're old. The Bowling Ground was always good. But yeah, I don't know. Even Highbury wasn't the loudest, to be honest.
Oh no! The players are on top of the pitch. I guess that's where you get the atmosphere from. And of course, White Hart. Oh no! Wait, no! How silly of me! What a shithole. But yes, I think it's difficult to replicate that, and ultimately, I know you're being a bit flippant there, John, but winning more games creates a better atmosphere. It's just always the way, isn't it?
Like, just winning more games and being, like in a game like today, coming out at the start. Like the Man United game where we were like bang, like fucking Usain Bolt straight out of the blocks, just blasting a team away straight away. Keeps the atmosphere going. And in the second half of that game, we didn't do a lot, but the crowd was all buzzing because we're 3-0 up and we're beating, whether it's Man United or whoever, they're all in a good mood. That kind of thing. It just translates and it gets the fans going. Sometimes in a game, it's just like a big crunching tackle. Like when we lost the Everton game. That what's that kid? MacArthur.
Yes,
that kid. He's probably like 30 now. He's probably fucking older than me. He just, like flew into a tackle and then it just gets the whole crowd up.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, a couple more. What have we got here? This is actually a question to you, John, from the same person, so you have to have this one. It says, question to John and... Oh, actually to all of us. Sorry, my bad. Karl is moaning about referees making... Hang on. Karl is I didn't think Karl was moaning. Anyway, is moaning... I've read it wrong. Is moaning about referees making sense? Refs are human. It's wrong to expect perfection. Should refs have post-match interviews to explain themselves and their decisions? It's an interesting point because I don't know. Did you see Palace Watford earlier on? I don't know if either of you guys saw that game.
I didn't see it, no.
No. Mark Clattenburg had his own chant, which is great, and they were singing "It's not about you, it's not about you, Mark Clattenburg, it's not all about you," which I thought was quite funny because he doesn't have to carry himself like a superstar, doesn't he? Bless him. Is there a point for that? Do you think, both of you?
I can answer this very quickly. I don't think refs should ever be interviewed after games. They're not media trained. They could easily get themselves in a dodgy situation when being interviewed by a clever reporter, get their words twisted, and it comes out all the wrong way. I agree, they're human, they make mistakes, it's going to happen. I don't particularly like it when managers attack the ref. If they have a really blatantly, obviously bad game, then fair enough. But it's just a deflection tactic. We moan about Mourinho digging out a particular player after results gone bad and, ignoring what he's done wrong in a game. Arsene does exactly the same thing. Like the Man City game where he's complaining about the offsides. It's all he talked about. Completely ignored the fact that the team was dreadful in the second half and, that he got things wrong and he got the game wrong on that day. It's just deflection tactics. So, to be honest, I don't know why the papers pay any attention to it, why it gets any press time. It shouldn't. Because if they actually said, this is what went wrong in the game, it had nothing to do with the referee, and actually wrote an article about that, I'd read that. That's why I don't bother getting any of the articles from most of those newspapers, because it's, to be honest, loads of it's bollocks.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's very, very strange that the media fall for it, isn't it? Very, very strange. There was a good podcast to listen to recently. Gary Neville went on the Sunday Supplement podcast, which is a show in the UK here where they have like journalists talking about the weekend's games, and he questioned a lot of what was being said and what was being written. And I'm not a Gary Neville fan per se. As a person, as a pundit, he really challenged them on some of their sort of headlines they write and stuff. It was very interesting, so it might be worth having a look at that if you like that kind of thing. Let's finish with a light-hearted one, shall we? Everything reveal everything. Our good friend in chief. New Year's resolutions, one each. Go. I'll start. I don't do them; they're pointless.
Oh no, he said Arsenal New Year's resolution. One for Arsenal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, not for us then. That's all right. That's good because I just it's just pointless. I suppose the obvious one is win more games. I'll try and make it a more interesting answer. Okay, here's one. I'd like to see at least 2 players graduate from our academy into the first team by the end of this season, / start of next. Follow that, you fuckers. John?
Mine's easy. Coquelin, stop playing in the opposition's 18-yard box.
Oh,
Go back to where he used to play. I don't. I love him. I love it. I absolutely love the cock. I love the cock.
Okay. To be fair, we can see that with the beard. It's obvious. Karl, do you have one?
Ozil to stop going missing in big games. I'm not going to lie. It frustrates me that he does do it, and we can all say, "Oh no, he doesn't." But more often than not, he does kind of. The only game I could really think of where he really showed up was Chelsea at home. Apart from that, he does go missing. So a lot more from Ramsey as well. I kind of want Ramsey to replicate the 14-15 seasons. I would love Ramsey to replicate the 14-15 season. I'll get very close to that because Ramsey gets a lot of hate, and I'm not going to lie and say that I'm his biggest fan because I just want him to go back to playing the simple football. I want him to go back to doing what he does best because Ramsey is a very good player, and if he goes back to just doing the simple things well, he's going to be a hell of a player, and he could really do a lot for us. So. For me, Ramsey to replicate the 14-15 season.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah, I'm with you. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be very nice. Before we go, Nikki wants to know what my T-shirt is. Nikki, it's hand created. It's my Alien Get Away from Christmas You Bitch T-shirt. So there you go. I should ask John, what do you think of the trailer to the new film? Do you like it?
Yes, very good. I'm very excited. Although I'm kind of annoyed because I wanted Neil Blomkamp's one to come out first.
Oh, because
I want to see Hicks. I want to see Hicks. The rewrite.
Yes. Well, there's a
complete
very
ignoring of Alien 3 and the terrible movie that it was.
There's a very naughty rumor that it's being filmed in the process of this other one being filmed. So
it was supposed to come out before this Covenant was out.
Yeah.
But because Prometheus did better than I expected, Ridley Scott said, "No, I'm making my trilogy first, so you've got to put yours on hold," which is annoying because I've seen all the concept art of Hicks and
awesome,
Newt's like 26 years older, so yeah, they're still alive. Anyway, that's completely nothing to do with Arsenal.
Oh, who cares? It's our show. Say what we want. Yes. No, but it looks very good. I'm very, very excited. Looking forward to it. So there you go, Nikki. And no, I'm not showing you my boots. Sorry. You'll have to wait until the day comes where I've got them on. Benny, I would give you a gun show, but frankly, I would embarrass both myself and everyone around me. So no.
I think Kris said if Arsenal win the league, then he's going to do a show with nothing but boots and pants.
Not even
and the cowboy hat.
I know that.
It's just the hat and the boots. There'll be nothing else. Nothing else at all. I don't know if Danny has been able to perfect the pixelation graphic thing yet, but he's going to need to work on that because there will be nothing else on. So there's an image for you, boys and girls. Happy New Year. Anyway, I think we'll draw a line there. We'll go and watch Man City lose to Hull, although it's 0-0 at the moment. It sounds a bit dull, to be honest. So, excuse me, we'll be back after the Crystal Palace game, which I think is... when
Sunday.
is it?
Sunday.
It's New Year's Day. Yeah, so it's a 4 o'clock kickoff.
Jolly good. Okay, so we'll be back for that one. No idea who's on at the moment because it's all up in the air. Excuse me. I don't know if we're doing a podcast on Thursday or not. I can't remember. I think Kim said we were, but I don't think I'm around. So hopefully Jace is going to be able to host. Anyway, we'll deal with that when we get there. The blogs are taking a well-earned rest for Christmas. I'll nod and a wink to OG as usual. And I also just want to give a quick shout out to... that's good timing. Mike at Gooners in USA and Kyle, who stepped up last week when we had some issues with hosting. My fault, sorry. They stepped in a very, very short notice and did an excellent show last week. So our thanks to them. Really appreciate it. And I know we cross-promote people that we like and stuff, but if you like a bit of a light-hearted podcast and you enjoy listening to Gooners who are not necessarily on our doorstep, do give Gooners in the USA a listen because I really enjoy it, and I know Mike works very, very hard along with his colleague whose name escapes me. I want to say Andy. Oh God, that sounds awful, doesn't it? Anyway, the two guys that do Gooners in the USA, it is a really fun podcast, and do give it a listen. It's very enjoyable. And John, if people want to listen to me and you talk bollocks, they can do that somewhere as well, can't they? Do you want to give us a little mention just in case?
Oh, right, yeah. The Football Hipsters podcast, where you can listen to one of two pods or both if you want. One that's all about the Premier League and Championship, and another that's all about Serie A, Liga, La Liga, Bundesliga, and all the other leagues around the world that aren't in England.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, you can give us a try.
Apart from the Premier League. That'd be silly.
Oh, we do that as well. We just do it separately. Yeah, we split the two. Otherwise, it would just be like an 8-hour podcast. You know, the kind of ones that, like when Dom's on, those kind of podcasts just go on forever. Love you, Dom. It was Andy. Thank Christ for that. Ooh, I thought I got that wrong. Anyway, Jax will finish with this quote. My daughter Emily just asked, why does Kris look like a pirate? Sweat. Couldn't write this shit, could you? Couldn't write it. Right, that will do us then for now. Thank you all very much for listening. Hope you all have a fantastic new year. If we don't speak to you before, well, we won't speak to you before. I hope you had a very safe and fun Christmas period. We'll be back, as I say, after the Crystal Palace game. Let's hope for 3 points, and let's hope that maybe we get some teams dropping points in the meantime. Come on, the Hull. My thanks to Karl and to John. Much appreciated, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Pleasure.
And we'll be back to speak to you very, very soon. Until then, keep it Arsenal, keep the faith, and enjoy the festivities. Ciao for now.